Alright, Shalom to the elect. I want to start by giving all the praises, honor, and glory to whom it rightfully belongs, which is Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachak Wadash. Yahweh is the true name of the Heavenly Father. Yahweh is the one the world ignorantly calls God. Yah means He, and Hawa means to be or exist. So Yahweh's name means He is, or He to be, or He exists. Alright? And Yahweh is not a so-called white man, He's a so-called black man. Bahasham means in the name, Ba means in, Ha means the, and Shum means name. Alright, and Yahweh Shai is the true name of the Messiah. Alright, Yah meaning He, and Yahweh Shai meaning save or deliver. So Yahweh Shai's name means He is the Savior, or He is the Deliverer. And Yahweh Shai also is not a so-called white man, He's a so-called black man. Alright, Bahasham once again meaning in the name, and Rachak Kodash meaning Holy Spirit. Rachal meaning Spirit, and Kodash meaning holy. So I said that all the praises, honor, and glory belongs to Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, ever well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the elect. And this video is going into the split of the nation of Israel, as well as the bringing together of the nation of Israel. Talked about in Ezekiel, the 37th chapter. Alright, so, this could be, this might be a really lengthy lesson. So, and once again, it's good to go into these, to go over it, I haven't went over it in a minute. Alright, so, it's good to go over these things. Alright, and, Lord willing, to be edifying, man. Alright, there's some things. There's some things, kind of want to, there's going to be some different little points I want to touch on. All right, so without further ado, all right, this is the book of 1 Kings, the 11th chapter, starting at the first verse. It says, but King Solomon loved many strange women, and King Solomon, by the way, is Yahweh Shai. Okay? If you don't know, King Solomon is Yahweh Shai. But that was one of Yahweh Shai's past reincarnations. Alright? That's King Solomon. That was, just people walking by. That was one of, King Solomon was one of Yahweh Shai's past reincarnations. Alright? But, and there's lessons on that. But 1 Kings 11:1, but King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites. Of the nations concerning which Yahweh said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come into you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love. Verse 3. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. Right? And once again, the problem wasn't him getting with these heathen women, man. Alright? We have some Israelite camps out here that'll say that King Solomon was in the wrong for getting with heathen women, and he wasn't. Alright? 1 Kings 11th chapter in the 4th verse, it says, For it came to pass, when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with Yahweh his power, as was the heart of David his father. So this is the problem, alright? This is where it started from, okay? This is where all that started from, man. The split, okay? It started, because these different heathen women, turned away King Solomon's heart after other gods. Okay? And you see how that trickled down into us splitting, the nation of Israel being split apart. Okay? Verse 5, for Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Amorites. And Solomon did evil in the sight of Yahweh, and went not fully after Yahweh, as did David his father. Verse 7, then did Solomon build an high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. And likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their gods. See? So this is where, the problem came from. All right? This is where the problem started. All right? It started because Solomon's mind, his heart, was being turned away from the Heavenly Father Yahweh towards these other different gods, these other different idols of these different nations. All right, so that was the problem. Okay, but continuing on, verse 9, and Yahweh was angry with Solomon because his heart was turned from Yahweh, power of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice. And let me just get a precept since it came to mind. This is the book of Exodus chapter 20, starting at verse 1. It says, and the Most High spake all these words, saying, and Yahweh thy power, which God in the Hebrew means power. God in the Hebrew is Allah, spelled A-H-L-A in the English, and it means power. All right? Don't get it confused with that Islamic fake-ass God. All right? But it says, I'm Yahweh thy power, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Verse 3, thou shalt have no other gods before me. All right? You're not supposed to be worshiping any other gods but Yahweh, Hashem Yahweh Shai. All right? So you see Solomon was in the wrong. All right? And sin is breaking the law, statutes, and commandments. All right? So this sin led to us falling apart, led to the nation of Israel splitting. All right? So this is like, low-key the backstory of it. So 1 Kings 11 and verse 9 again. And Yahweh was angry with Solomon because his heart was turned from Yahweh, power of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice, and had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods, but he kept not that which Yahweh commanded. Wherefore, so the Lord told him, you're not supposed to be going after these other gods, okay? But King Solomon, he didn't keep that. All right, he didn't, obey that. Right? So verse 11, wherefore Yahweh said unto Solomon, for as much as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes which I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee, and will give it to thy servant. And that word rend means to tear or to rip, and give it to thy, it says, and will give it to thy servant. All right. And who was the servant? Let's jump down to verse 26 real quick and come back. All right. So it says, and Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, an Ephratite of Zereda, Solomon's servant, whose mother's name was Zeruiah, a widow woman, even he lifted up his hand against the king. Okay, so this is the servant that was being talked about in verse 11, that the Lord said he would give the kingdom to. Right? So now verse 12, 1 Kings 11 and 12. Notwithstanding in thy days I will not do it, for David thy father's sake, but I will rend it out of the hand of thy son. So the kingdom wouldn't be split, during Solomon's reign, but it would be split during his son's reign. All right, the next son Solomon had, it would be during his reign, Rehoboam. All right, verse 13. Howbeit, I will not rend away all the kingdom, but will give one tribe to thy son, for David my servant's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake which I have chosen. And that one tribe is the tribe of Judah. All right, in the Hebrew, Yahweh, right, which is comprised of two words. The Heavenly Father's name, which is Yahweh, and the Hebrew word for saying thank you, which is the water. So when you put it together it's Yahweh. Okay? And this split is also part of uh, our us Israelites history. Okay? This is a part of our history. All right? Verse 14. And Yahweh stirred up an adversary unto Solomon, Hadad the Edomite. He was of the king's seed in Edom. For it came to pass, when David was in Edom, and Joab the captain of the host was gone up to bury the slain, after he had smitten every male in Edom. For 6 months did Joab remain there with all Israel, until he had cut off every male in Edom. And Hadad fled, he and certain Edomites of his father's servants with him, to go into Egypt, Hadad being yet a little child. And they arose out of Midian and came to Paran, and they took men with them out of Paran, and they came to Egypt unto Pharaoh king of Egypt, which gave him an house, and appointed him, I believe, victuals, and gave him land. And Hadad found great favor in the sight of Pharaoh, so that he gave him the wife, the sister of his own wife, the sister of Taphanes the queen. And the sister of Taphanes bare him Genubath his son, whom Taphanes weaned in Pharaoh's house. And Genubath was in Pharaoh's household among the sons of Pharaoh. And when Hadad heard in Egypt that David slept with his fathers, and that Joab the captain of the host was dead, Hadad said to Pharaoh, Let me depart, that I may go to mine own country. And Pharaoh said unto him, But what hast thou lacked with me, that, behold, thou seekest to go to thine own country? And he answered, Nothing. Howbeit, let me go in any way, in Slakia. And he answered, Nothing. Howbeit, let me go in any wise. And the Most High stirred him up another adversary, Rezin, the son of Eliada, which fled from his lord Hadaezer, king of Zobah, and he gathered men unto him, and became captain over a band when David slew them of Zobah. And they went to Damascus and dwelt therein, and he was an adversary to Israel all the days of Solomon, beside the mischief that Hadad did. And he abhorred Israel and reigned over Syria. All right, so it was a little reading right there. All right, but let's keep going. All right, verse 26. And Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, an Ephrathite of Zereda, who's Solomon's servant. Once again, that servant the Lord said he would give the kingdom to. Right, in verse 11. Right, it says, whose mother's name was Zeruiah, a widow woman, even he lift up his hand against the king. Right, verse 27. And this was the cause that he lift up his hand against the king. Solomon built Millo and repaired the breaches of the city of David his father. And the man Jeroboam was a mighty man of valor. And Solomon, seeing the young man that he was industrious, he made him ruler over all the charge of the house of Joseph. Okay, and real quick, let me this is Honoring Compact Bible Dictionary, right? And so I'm just getting the definition of Jeroboam, and I'm gonna get the definition of Rehoboam once he's mentioned. But right now, since we're reading about Jeroboam, I'm gonna get the definition of Jeroboam just for some extra information, or extra edification rather. All right. So Jeroboam, right? Page 275 in the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, right? It says Jeroboam first. It says the people become numerous. First king over Slakia. It says first king of Israel after division of kingdom. Overseer of public works under Solomon. All right, which we just read. All right. So it's told by the prophet Ahijah that he would become king of 10 tribes. Fled to Egypt because Solomon sought to kill him. Became king with Shechem as capital. Built centers of worship with golden calves at Dan and Bethel. Downfall foretold by the prophet Ahijah. All right. So that's some backdrop on Jeroboam. Right. So let's read. So 1 Kings 11 and 29. And it came to pass at that time when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem that the prophet Ahijah the Shilonite found him in the way, And he had clad himself with a new garment. I'm going to read it again. 1 Kings 11 and 29. And it came to pass at that time when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem that the prophet Ahijah the Shilonite found him in the way. Right? So the prophet Ahijah found Jeroboam. It says, and he had clad himself with a new garment. And they too were alone in the field. So it was them two. Right? Verse 30. And Ahijah caught the new garment that was on him and rent it in 12 pieces. So Ahijah caught the, imagine, it's just you two out, two people in the field, or two men out in the field, and one man catches the other man's garment and starts ripping it into 12 pieces. All right, and those 12 pieces represent the 12 tribes of Israel. Right, verse 31. And he said to Jeroboam, take thee 10 pieces, for thus saith Yahweh, the power of Israel. Behold, I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon, and will give 10 tribes to thee. So here it's being stated that Jeroboam would be set up over the 10 tribes, or in other words, the northern kingdom. All right. Verse 32. But he shall have one tribe for my servant David's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, the city which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, because that they have forsaken me, and have worshipped Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, Chemosh, the god of the Moabites, and Milcom, the god of the children of Ammon, and have not walked in my ways to do that which is right in mine eyes, and to keep my statutes and my judgments, as did David his father. See? Howbeit, I will not take the whole kingdom out of his hand, but I will make him prince all the days of his life, for David my servant's sake, whom I chose, because he kept my covenants and my statutes. But I will take the kingdom of his son's hand, Slakia, but I will take the kingdom out of his son's hand, and will give it unto thee, even 10 tribes. And unto his son will I give one tribe, that David my servant may have a light always before me in Jerusalem, the city which I have chosen me to put my name there. Alright, so it says, and I will take thee, and thou shalt reign according to all that thy soul desireth, and shalt be king over Israel. And it shall be, if thou wilt hearken unto all that I command thee, and wilt walk in my ways, and do that is right in my sight, to keep my statutes and my commandments, as David my servant did, that I will be with thee, and build thee a sure house, as I built for David, and will give Israel unto thee. And I will for this afflict the seed of David, but not forever. So the Lord, pretty much telling, through Ahijah, all right, because in verse 31, Ahijah was speaking of Jeroboam and said, for thus saith the Lord Yahweh, power of Israel. So the Lord, through Ahijah, was telling Jeroboam, pretty much giving the backdrop of what was about to happen, and he's going to rend the kingdom, going to give, make him ruler over the northern kingdom, right? And, have one tribe, for, to pretty much Solomon's son, all right? So pretty much the Lord was letting him know what was about to go on, all right, through Ahijah. All right, so 1 Kings 11 and 40, Solomon sought therefore to kill Jeroboam. And Jeroboam arose and fled into Egypt, unto Shishak, king of Egypt, and was in Egypt until the death of Solomon. And the rest of the acts of Solomon, and all that he did, and his wisdom, are they not written in the book of the acts of Solomon? In the time that Solomon, so it says, in the time that Solomon reigned in Jerusalem over all Israel was 40 years. And Solomon slept with his fathers, and was buried in the city of David his father. And Rehoboam his son reigned in his stead. All right. And also in verse 42, that's another 1 Kings 11 and 42, saying how King Solomon reigned over Israel all for 40 years. All right. One, that was a peaceful reign for the nation of Israel. All right. And number two, all right, this is another piece of evidence or another precept that shows us that King Solomon was Yahweh Shai. All right. And was one of Yahweh Shai's past reincarnations. All right. So I'm gonna prove that real quick. This is the book of 2 Samuel the 7th chapter. And so yeah, in 2 Samuel 7th chapter, this is where the Lord speaking through the prophet Nathan, from Nathan, you know, unto David, right? So 2 Samuel the 7th chapter, starting at verse 12. And when thy days be fulfilled, and thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. All right, talking about King Solomon. Verse 13, he shall build an house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. All right, but how could this be if King Solomon only ruled for 40 years? The Lord said he would establish King Solomon's throne forever. How could this be if King Solomon only reigned for 40 years, as we read in 1 Kings 11? You see, so how could this be? Right? Verse 14. I will be his father. So like it says, I will be his father, and he shall be my son. Uh-oh. That's another piece of evidence. It says, if he commit iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men, and with the stripes of the children of men. But King Solomon wasn't beaten by anybody. So how could this be? Well, let's deal with one thing at a time. All right. So it said the Lord would establish the throne of, King Solomon's throne forever, right? Let me get this precept. This is the book of Luke, chapter 1, and starting at verse 31. And behold, thou shalt conceive in thy womb and bring forth a son, and shalt call his name Yahweh. He shall be great, and shall be called the Son of the Highest, and the Lord Yahweh shall give unto him the throne of his father David, and he shall reign over the house of Jacob forever, and of his kingdom there shall be no end. See? Now, let's deal with the other part. It said, the Most High said that he would be King Solomon's father and he would be his son, right? Let's go to this right here. This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 1, and starting at verse 7. It says, and of the angels, he saith, who make Salakia. No. Yeah, this is Hebrews chapter 1, starting at verse 4. Being made so much better than the angels, as he hath by inheritance obtained a more excellent name than they. For unto which of the angels said he at any time, thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee, and again I will be to him a father, and he shall be to me a son. See? And then it said King Solomon would be chastened with the stripes of men, right? Let me get this. It says, Book of St. John, all right? Book of St. John, chapter 19. And starting at verse 1. Then Pilate therefore took Yahushua and scourged him. And the soldiers plaited a crown of thorns and put it on his head. And they put on him a purple robe and said, Hail, King of the Jews. And they smote him with their hands. Right? Another precept. This is the book of Isaiah. chapter 53 and verse 5. But he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. See? This is all talking about Yahweh Shai. It said he will, what? 2 Samuel 7 and the latter part with verse 14. If he commit iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men and with the stripes of the children of men. Isaiah 53 and Slakia. The rest of Isaiah 53 and 5. But he was wounded for our transgression and was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. King Solomon was one of Yahweh Shai's past reincarnations. All right. So back in 1 Kings, the 11th chapter and 43. And Solomon slept with his fathers and was buried in the city of David his father. And Rehoboam his son reigned in his stead. So now it's talking to Rehoboam was, King Solomon's son, right? Now it's talking about Rehoboam. So now let me get the definition on Rehoboam real quick. All right. Bear with me just 1 second. Rehoboam, it says, the son of Solomon and his successor on the throne of Israel. His mother, and the successor is pretty much, one that comes after you to rule, after you. All right, it says, his mother was Naamah, an Ammonitess. He was born about 975 BC and was 41 when he began to reign. The northern tribes turned to Jeroboam for leadership. See, the northern tribes turned to Jeroboam for leadership, to whom Yahweh had revealed that he was to rule 10 of the tribes. When the coronation, which means the crowning, like a crowning ceremony, had been set, Jeroboam was called home from Egypt, and through him an appeal was made to Rehoboam for easier taxes. The latter, however, heeding the advice of young men, refused, with the result that Israel rebelled. When Adoram was sent to collect the tribute, he was slain, and Rehoboam fled to Jerusalem. Rehoboam set to work to make his realm strong. Pagan high places were set up, and shrines throughout the land allowed abominable practices to be observed among the men. Upon being dissuaded from attacking Israel, Rehoboam began to strengthen his land. He fortified Bethlehem, Gath, Lachish, Hebron, and other cities, and made them ready to endure siege by enemy forces. He gave refuge to priests and Levites whom Jeroboam had driven from Israel, and they brought wisdom and strength to his realm. The fortified cities were captured by King Shishak of Egypt. Rehoboam seems to have inherited his father's love for luxury and show, for he gathered a goodly harem and reared a large family. Right? So that's about Rehoboam. Okay? So now, 1 Kings, the 12th chapter. Alright? Alright, so 1 Kings chapter 12, continuing on. So, here we go. 1 Kings 12 and 1. And Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel were come to Shechem to make him king. And it came to pass when Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who was yet in Egypt, heard of it, for he was fled from the presence of King Solomon, and Jeroboam dwelt in Egypt, that they sent and called him. And Jeroboam and all the congregation of Israel came and spake unto Rehoboam. So they came to Rehoboam, now he was about to be, king. All right. It says, and spake unto Rehoboam, saying, thy father made our yoke grievous. Now therefore make thou the grievous service of thy father, and his heavy yoke, who's Rehoboam's father, King Solomon, says, make thou the grievous service of thy father, and his heavy yoke which he put upon us lighter, and we will serve thee. So, since King Solomon went to idolatry, he was building those idols as we read about, for all these different gods that his heathen women had turned his mind after to worship. He had built all the high places and things. All right, building those idols, etc. All right, so those things cost money. Those things cost. So there's a chance, he put more tribute on the tribes of Israel, and that was the grievous yoke Solomon put on the tribes. Slock it. Bear with me just 1 second real quick, man. You know what I'm saying? Slock it. Slock about that. But yeah, that was the grievous yoke, right? So 1 Kings 12:5. And he said unto them, depart yet for 3 days, then come again to me. And the people depart. So he told, go away for 3 days. After 3 days, come back. Right? Verse 6. And King Rehoboam consulted with the old men that stood before Solomon his father while he had lived, and said, how do you advise that I may answer this people? So Rehoboam, he asked those old men, that stood before Solomon, what he should respond to Jake. All right. Verse 7. And they spake unto him, saying, if thou wilt be a servant unto this people this day, and wilt serve them, and answer them, and speak good words to them, then they will be thy servants forever. All right, verse 8. But he forsook the counsel of the old men. See, he forsook them. He forsook the counsel of the old men, right, which they had given him, and consulted with the young men that were grown up with him, and which stood before him. Right, so he went in like a Jake would do. He would go talk to his homeboys. He would go talk to his niggas pretty much. All right. Verse 9. And he said unto them, what counsel give ye that we may answer this people, who have spoken to me, saying, make the yoke which thy father did put upon us lighter? And that's the thing. See, in different aspects, people who are, generally older than you have, they have more experience. It said the older men stood before Solomon. Let me get a quick precept. This is the book of Sirach, also, or Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach. All right, chapter 34. No, Salakia. Salakia, actually. The book of Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach, chapter 34, verses 9 and 10. A man that hath traveled much, Salakia, a man that hath traveled knoweth many things, and he that hath much experience will declare wisdom. See? So someone, who's far experienced than you, they will declare wisdom. Okay? Or, they're gonna know more. Alright? Verse 10, he that hath no experience knoweth little, but he that hath travailed is full of prudence. Alright? So back in 1 Kings, the 12th chapter, alright, and once again Rehoboam, he had consulted to his homeboy, so to speak, right, about what he should respond to Jake. Verse 9, and he said unto them, Salakia. Verse 10, and the young men, no, verse 9, and he said unto them, what counsel give ye that we may answer this people, who have spoken to me, saying, make the yoke which thy father did put upon us lighter? Verse 10, and the young men that were grown up with him spake unto him, saying, thus shalt thou speak unto this people that spake unto thee, saying, thy father made our yoke heavy, but make thou it lighter unto us. Thus shalt thou say unto them, my little finger shall be thicker than my father's loins. So, comparing how King Solomon was going hard on his women in a sexual manner, what was being said was Rehoboam would go like 5 times harder on the tribes than his father was on his women. Right? Verse 11. And now whereas my father did lade you with an heavy yoke, I will add to your yoke. It says, my father hath chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions. Verse 12. So Jeroboam and all the people came to Rehoboam the third day, and this was the counsel that they told Rehoboam to say, or respond to Jake. Verse 12, so Jeroboam and all the people came to Rehoboam the third day, as the king had appointed, saying, come to me again the third day. And the king answered the people roughly, and forsook the old men's counsel that they gave him, and spake to them after the counsel of the young men. See? Verse 13, and the king answered the people roughly, and forsook the old men's counsel that they gave him. Rehoboam, he didn't listen to what the kings were saying, you know. Slaki, he didn't listen to what the elderly men were telling him, you know. The sound advice. He listened to what his homeboy said. All right. Verse 14, and spake to them after the counsel of the young men, saying, my father made your yoke heavy, and I will add to your yoke. My father also chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions. So Rehoboam said that he'd make it harder for them. He'd make life harder for them. Which further caused a split. Which can also be, this type of thing can also be caused by a tyrannical government. Verse 15. Wherefore the king hearkened not unto the people, for the cause was from Yahweh, that he might perform his saying, which Yahweh spake by Ahijah the Shilonite unto Jeroboam son of Nebat. All right, so you see, the Heavenly Father is the one that had caused this. Okay, but you see, the Lord is far out, man, because now the Lord is bringing us back together. All right, you see, because later on, the northern kingdom, they went off into captivity, and now they went to the other side of the world, man. This is the book of Isaiah, the 55th chapter, starting at the 8th verse. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith Yahweh. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. See? The Lord is like millions of steps ahead. All right? So 1 Kings 12 and 16. So when all Israel saw that the king hearkened not unto them, the people answered the king, saying, what portion have we in David? Neither have we inheritance in the son of Jesse. To your tents, O Israel, now see to thine own house, David. So Israel departed unto their tents. So the northern kingdom is saying that they wouldn't be joined to or submit to the house of David. Right? Verse 17. But as for the children of Israel, which dwelt in the cities of Judah, Rehoboam reigned over them. And the king Rehoboam sent Adoram, who was over the tribute, and all Israel stoned him with stones, that he died. Therefore King Rehoboam made speed to get him up to his chariot to flee to Jerusalem. So here Rehoboam sends a tributary to get the northern kingdom in order, but they stoned him. See? Verse 19, so Israel rebelled against the house of David unto this day. And it came to pass, verse 20, and it came to pass, when all Israel heard that Jeroboam was come again, that they sent and called him unto the congregation, and made him king over all Israel. So this is Jeroboam. See, they made him king over all Israel. All right? So they made him king over the northern kingdom. All right? And by the way, Jeroboam, okay, as it says in verse 26, and Jeroboam the son of Nebat, an Ephrathite. All right? 1 Kings 11 and 26. So this would be the head of the northern kingdom, which is the tribe of Ephraim. Apartium, which means I am fruitful. All right? So-called Puerto Ricans. And the tribe of Judah being the so-called Negroes, So Ephraim will be, like the head of the northern kingdom pretty much, and Judah, the head of the southern kingdom. All right, but Judah is, out of all the nations, Israel, Judah is the top tribe. All right. So, 1 Kings 12 and 20 again. And it came to pass, when all Israel heard that Jeroboam was come again, that they sent and called him unto the congregation and made him king over all Israel. There was none that followed the house of David, but the tribe of Judah only. Right? So when the split initially happened, only the tribe of Judah remained, right, loyal to the house of David. Okay? Verse 21, and when Rehoboam was come to Jerusalem, he assembled all the house of Judah with the tribe of Benjamin. So then Benjamin stayed with Judah during the split. And this is how Benjamin is a part of the southern kingdom. Right? There's 180,000 chosen men which were warriors to fight against the house of Israel to bring the kingdom again to Rehoboam the son of Solomon. All right? So, so far Judah and Benjamin, are the southern kingdom so far. Okay? Because when you look at the 12 tribes chart, all right, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, all right, are a part, are part of the southern kingdom. So you may ask, well, what happened to Levi? So we're going to get to that. All right? Verse 22. But the word of Yahweh came unto Shemaiah, the son of Yahweh, the man of Yahweh, saying, Speak unto Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, king of Judah, and unto all the house of Judah and Benjamin, and to the remnant of the people, saying, Thus saith Yahweh, Ye shall not go up, nor fight against your brethren, the children of Israel. Return every man to his house, for this thing is from me. They hearkened therefore to the word of Yahweh, and returned to depart according to the word of Yahweh. And Jeroboam built Shechem and Mount Ephraim, and dwelt therein, and went out from thence, and built Penuel. And Jeroboam said in his heart, which in his mind, Now shall the kingdom return to the house of David. If this people go up to do sacrifice in the house of Yahweh at Jerusalem, then shall the heart of this people turn again unto their Lord, even unto Rehoboam king of Judah, and they shall kill me, and go again to Rehoboam king of Judah. So Jeroboam knew the kingdom had split, but the tribes still had to go to Jerusalem, to the temple to sacrifice. All right? So if they went back, they would pretty much turn back, to Rehoboam. All right? So Jeroboam wanted to prevent this, So, they went back up to the temple to do sacrifice. Eventually, they would turn back, and unite again. But Jeroboam was like, nah, I can't have this, man. All right? So they shall kill me. Verse 28, Whereupon the king took counsel, and made two calves of gold, and said unto them, It is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Behold thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And that's grave, man. That's a grave sin right there. It's a grave sin. Right? So Jeroboam, immediately made two calves of gold and gives it the credit for bringing Jake out of Egypt. Verse 29, it says, And he set the one in Bethel, and the other put he in Dan. Right? Verse 30, And this thing became a sin, for the people went to worship before the one, even unto Dan. All right, so I'm going to read it again. And this thing became a sin, for the people went to worship before the one, even unto Dan. All right, and let me get this. Exodus chapter 20. And starting in verse 4. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Verse 5. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I Yahweh thy power am a jealous power, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto the thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Right? So, the thing is, right, you can make statues, all right, but you can't bow down to it to serve it nor worship it. As it says in verse 5. So people talk about us having, the pictures and things of Yahweh Shai, and, the graphic, the images, the graphic images, the pictures brothers put together. They call that being wicked. They call us wicked for that. They call Great Millstone wicked, and the people that are like-minded as Great Millstone and use these images as being wicked. All right. And the thing is, we're not bowing down or worshiping them. They really, some Israelites out there really have called us wicked for that, man. But let me read this real quick. This is the book of Leviticus, the 26th chapter, in the first verse. Ye shall, and this is why you have to go precept upon precept. Through thy precepts I get understanding. Leviticus 26:1. Ye shall make you no idols nor graven images, neither rear you up a standing image, neither shall you set up any image of stone in your land to bow down unto it. For I am Yahweh your power. So you see, the point. It's not the fact that you have a statue, or you can have a statue of a fish, a bull, a calf, you know, you can have these things, but you just can't bow down and worship it. You know, shit. In the kingdom, we might have some. All right, statues of things. King Solomon. We in the Book of Kings, so King Solomon. Where is it? Salakia. This is 1 Kings chapter 10, talking about King Solomon, verses starting in verse 18. Moreover, the king made a great throne of ivory and overlaid it with the best gold. The throne has 6 steps, and so 6 steps going up to the throne, right? And the top of the throne was round behind, and there were stays on either side of the place of the seat, and 2 lions stood beside the stays, and 12 lions stood there on the one side, and the other upon the 6 steps. So you had, 6 lion statues on each side of these steps going up to King Solomon's throne. It says there was not the like made in any kingdom. So, all right, so King Solomon, okay, he had different images and things. Back when we was building the tabernacle in the wilderness, you had stitchings, for lack of better words, for the tabernacle in the wilderness, being made. So these Israelites really don't know what they talking about, man. But they'll hate on Great Millstone. And it's the fact that we can have these things. It's a fact that we can actually have, these statues and things like that, but you cannot bow down to it or worship it. That's the thing. Because the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, all right, the Lord is the one we serve. Okay? But these Israelites can't understand that. But you see how GMS is being talked bad about? You see this? But 1 Kings, the 12th chapter, and verse 31, it says, and he made an house of, so I'm going to start at verse 29 again, talking about what Jeroboam did. And he set the one in Bethel and the other put he in Dan. Verse 30, and this thing became a sin, for the people went to worship before the one, even unto Dan. And so, it's like Beto was saying about the great, the statues and things. So what's having these pictures of Yahweh Shai and angels, and, these things aren't wrong, all right? These things are not wrong, man, okay? These things, they're not, we're not sinning for making these things, Verse 31, it says, and he made an house of high places and made priests of the lowest of the people, which were not of the sons of Levi. And this is why, so Jeroboam built idols and put anyone as the priest. And this is why Levi didn't stay in the northern kingdom. They went to Judah, where they were still able to do the office of the priesthood. And this is how Levi is a part of the southern kingdom. All right? This is how Levi is a part of the southern kingdom, man. It's Judah, Benjamin, Levi. I'm going to get another precept going into how, Benjamin and Levi are part of the southern kingdom as well. All right? Let me just finish these last 2 verses in this chapter. It says in verse 32, and Jeroboam ordained a feast in the 8th month, on the 15th day of the month, like unto the feast that is in Judah. And he offered upon the altar, so did he in Bethel, sacrificing unto the calves that he had made. And he placed in Bethel the priests of the high places which he had made. So he offered upon the altar which he had made in Bethel, the 15th day of the 8th month, even in the month which he had devised of his own heart, and ordained a feast unto the children of Israel. And he offered upon the altar and burnt incense. All right? Now, let me get the precept. It says the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 11. Starting at verse 5. It says, and Rehoboam dwelt in Jerusalem and built cities for defense in Judah. He built even Bethlehem and Etam and Tekoa and Bethzer and Shoko and Adullam and Gath and Maresha and Ziph and Adoram and Lachish and Azekah and Zorah and Ilon and Hebron, which are in Judah, and in Benjamin, fenced cities. And he fortified the strongholds and put captains in them, and store of victual and of oil and wine. Slack if I said that wrong word, victual. That's not what it says there. It's just, this is the 1611. So some of the words be kind of, misspelled. All right. It says, now listen, it says, and in every several, it says, and in every several city, he put shields and spears and made them exceeding strong, having Judah and Benjamin on his side. So now Judah and Benjamin were on the side of the house of David. So now Benjamin, as we see, is a part of the southern kingdom. All right. Verse 13, and the priests and the Levites, and the priests, all right, were only the sons of Aaron, not the entire tribe of Levi. All right, but the priests were Levites though. All right, as well. It says, and the priests and the Levites that were in all Israel resorted to him out of all their coasts. Why? Verse 14, for the Levites left their suburbs in their possession and came to Judah and Jerusalem, for Jeroboam and his sons had cast them off from executing the priest's office unto Yahweh. See? And he ordained him. So the priests and, the priests and Levites resorted to Rehoboam out of all their coasts. All right? Because, pretty much because, Jeroboam, made the lowest of the people priests, and, he didn't, pretty much he didn't, pretty much the tribe of Levi, they couldn't, or the Levites, the priests, they couldn't, hold their office. So they resorted back to Rehoboam. All right. And this is how Levi is a part of the southern kingdom. Okay. I'm going to just read two more verses. Verse 15, and he ordained him priests for the high places and for the devils and for the calves which he had made. And after them, out of all the tribes of Israel, such as set their hearts to seek Yahweh, power of Israel, came to Jerusalem to sacrifice unto Yahweh, power of the fathers. So this is the split. That is the split. As that's how the nation of Israel had split. All right. So now you have the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom. Right. Two kingdoms of the nation split. Right. Today the southern kingdom is Judah being the so-called Negroes, Benjamin being the so-called West Indians, and Levi being the so-called Haitians. Okay. So, and then the rest of the tribes, you got the northern kingdom, so-called Mexicans, Colombians, the Uruguayans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Argentinian, Chileans, Dominicans, Native American and Seminole American Indians, people from Guatemala to Panama, from the different prospective tribes, Ephraim all the way down to Issachar, northern kingdom, all right? But now, in these times, the Lord is bringing the nation of Israel together, all right? Bringing them back together, all right? And, let me get it. This is Salakia. Well, this is the book of Ezekiel, the 37th chapter, right? Start at verse 15. The word of Yahweh came again unto me, saying, moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick, and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel his companions. And that word stick in the Hebrew was plank. And when you start with our apostles and elders of great millstone and the sincere like-minded brothers under them, teaching the same doctrine as them, right? When you see them out there on the highways and byways, on the street corners teaching, what do you see? You see a plank with the 12 tribes of Israel on it, okay? It says, and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel his companions, so Judah and the rest of the southern kingdom, right? Judah, Benjamin, Levi. It says, then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim. And Joseph is interchangeable with Ephraim, Numbers 1 and 32. All right? And then it says, and for all the house of Israel, his companions, the rest of the northern kingdom, Ephraim all the way down to Issachar. Verse 17, and join them one to another in the one stick, and they shall become one in thine hand. All right, so when you look at the 12 tribes chart, right, you got all the 12 tribes of Israel on there, And this, so, another thing, too, the Lord is bringing once again, the Lord, why is this? Because the Lord is bringing the 12 tribes of Israel back together, all right? Verse 18, and when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, what wilt thou not show us what thou meanest by these? All right, bear with me just 1 second, Salakia. Let me turn this light on. Okay, this ain't turning on no more. Hey, Salakia, bear with me 1 second. Salakia. Alright, let me just set it back up. Like, here, verse 18, it says, when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, wilt thou not show us what thou meanest by these? Say unto them, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel, his fellows, and will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in mine hand. Verse 20, and the sticks whereon thou writest shall be in thine hand before their eyes. And this plank is before the eyes of the Israelites. That chart that we have when we out there, it's in front of the eyes. We see, brothers see people all the time walking by brothers see Israelites all the time walking by the camp, looking at the tribes. So that plank is in front of their eyes. All right. Verse 21, and say unto them, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen whither they be gone, and will gather them on every side and bring them into their own land. You see? So Israelites, we're gonna go back to our land, which is the land of Israel. All right? But regarding that tribe, what I'm just trying to say is because with the tribes, the 12 tribes chart, Jake come by and look at it, and they can see, okay, they could see with their so-called ethnicity, like for example, they could see so-called Negro and see that across from it says the tribe of Judah, or so-called Puerto Rican, and across from it the tribe of Ephraim, so on and so forth. So this 12 tribes chart is actually helpful. And then they ask you, well, Salakia, they ask you, well, so it says I'm from the tribe of Simeon. Can you explain this to me? And then you could explain it, and we should be able to explain how we're the Israelites, all right? But Ezekiel 37 and 22 says, and I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king, which is King David, which of course is going to be under Yahweh Shai. All right, and one king shall be king to them all, and they shall be no more two nations. All right, it says, and they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore at all. All right, neither shall they defile themselves anymore with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions, but I will save them out of all their dwelling places wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them, so shall they be my people, and I will be their power. All right. Verse 24, and David my servant shall be king over them. All right, and in verse 23, all right, I'm going to read verse 23 again, Salakia. I'm just getting distracted. It says, neither shall they defile themselves anymore with their detestable things, nor with their anymore with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions, but I will save them out of all their dwelling places wherein they have sinned, which is all over the earth, and will cleanse them, so shall they be, in this, the cleansing, will be via the truth. All right, it says, so shall they be my people, and I will be their power. Verse 24, and David my servant shall be king over them, and they shall all have one shepherd. They shall also walk in my judgments, and observe my statutes, and do them, because the laws and statutes and commandments will be in our inward parts. So you see, that even is a cut to people who say we're in the new covenant now. Well, if we're in the new covenant now, where is King David at? Okay, all right, because this is talking. The laws are going to be in our inward parts. That's part of the new covenant, and when we have the new covenant, King David is going to be around us. So what's going on here? You know? Verse 25, and they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt, and they shall dwell therein, even they and their children, and their children's children forever, and my servant David shall be their prince forever. All right? So yeah, man. That was some brief history, all right? And some brief prophecy, okay? You know? Nation of Israel's coming back together, man. You just got to think, we are all the same people, just from, us Israelites, we're the same nation of people. We just come from different tribes of the same nation, okay? Some dumbass person said, some dumbass person had said, ain't no way Jacob had 12 different races of sons. What the fuck are you talking about, man? We're the same people. We have different tribes, all right? And the different tribes have their own spirit, all right? And even then, you may have some children whose spirits are different from each other's, man. What the fuck are you talking about, all right? But you just want to talk about how we look and different things like that, man. You're just a fucking dumbass. You don't understand nothing, all right? But, hey, just wanted to go into this, all right? So, hey, man, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all the praises, honor, and glory to whom rightfully belongs, which is Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash, that belongs to the apostles, elders, great millstone, every well. Peace, blessing, citation to the elect. Shalom to the elect.